Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Oh, what a happy occasion it is here. We have Mark Haynes from the Sac Observer with us. When was the last time we had something to celebrate as Kings fans when the NBA was making some kind of awards announcements? Here's the NBA all first team, or all NBA first team, as announced today. Giannis, Luka, Shea, Jokic, and Tatum. And then Mark has second team for us.
Second team, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis.
And the third team, LeBron, Steph, Tyrese, Devin Booker, and our guy, Domantas Sabonis. How about this?
That's how it is. It's like it's lit.
How about this, too? As I look deeper at the voting, Domas got a first team vote.
Ooh.
Somebody voted Domas for first team All NBA.
Kevin O'Connor.
I know. Same guy that voted him All Defense, too, and Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah.
Thank goodness for Sam Amick.
Man, that's I know, right? Anthony Slater, one of our local guys, stepped up for us. But that's a shocking, I'm shocked, and like I said before, it's not because Domas doesn't deserve it. We all think he should have been, and we're glad he is. But no Jaylen Brown, no Bam Adebayo.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking, two of the premier players in the league. And I think the voters finally got it right. They done got the All-Star wrong. They got sixth man of the year wrong, but they got this one right, I think.
Well, since it was positionless this year, so voters were voting regardless of position, shouldn't the top 10 or at least the top 5, the first team shouldn't it have been the top 5 finishers in the MVP voting? Because it's the same thing, right?
You would think, right?
Yeah.
Well, Shea, Jokic, Luka, Giannis, and Tatum. I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much the same
That's pretty
thing.
much the same.
First team is just your top 5 in MVP voting. But now Drapes and I were surprised. Were you surprised, Mark, that Domas made it? We're happy, think he deserved it, but still surprised.
Definitely surprised because, like you said, this been the year. It's been like kick the Kings while they're there. It's like keep it going. So it was a big surprise for me.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm excited. I'm happy for Domantas Sabonis. Now they got back it up with some wins next season. We were talking, before we got into the All-NBA conversation, just about the vibe around the team. 46 wins, feels like a disappointing season. Mike Brown, I think he's done a hell of a job. Just finished up his second year, first-year coach of the year. Now there's talk about his contract situation, and maybe he'll get in the market of a $10 million per year with an extension. Is it imperative? Do they, no matter what it costs, need to bring back Mike Brown? Make sure they extend him.
Yeah, you have to. He's a guy that's spearheaded turning this thing around, and they're like you said, it was kind of a setback year, but they're definitely building something. Guys are taking a step. You look. Let's take Malik. Malik had a good first year with the Kings. And he had an even better year this year. Keegan has gotten better. You got guys that came out of nowhere like Keon Ellis coming from the G League, and that's something that the Warriors kind of did with breeding Jordan Poole and things like that. So Mike Brown is definitely bringing something that the Sacramento Kings haven't had in years. And you have to keep that and see where it goes.
Yeah, and something they can actually build on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Mark Haynes with us. Mark Haynes, NBA on Twitter. If Malik goes, hopefully he doesn't. Terrible thing to bring up here when we're celebrating Domas. If he goes, what do you think is the one thing about him that the team would miss the most?
I think that that his mentality, his attitude, he's been the dog of the team. He's been the dog. He's been the comedian. He's been just a really good jail guy for the team. Yeah. And if you take away Malik, you lose a lot of personality. And I don't know where you gain that from. With
he was almost like the heart of the team in some ways, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Everybody, during their exit interviews, everybody, Malik Monk, he's my best friend. He's always talking to me. He's this. So that might be an even bigger loss than what you're losing on the court. And that's tough. That's hard to say. That's hard to say.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a critical offseason, for the Kings and Monte McNair. We saw 2 trade deadlines ago. They didn't do much, bringing in Kessler Edwards. This past offseason, you make some moves around the margins, Chris Duarte and Sasha Vezenkov. Do there need to be fireworks this offseason? Do we need to shake some things up and upgrade the talent noticeably. I don't mean just bringing in a 7th or 8th man. I'm talking about a starting level player.
No, I think so. I think like this is the year, we've seen the same team twice, 2 seasons in a row. This is the year I think they got to change something up. Take a risk. Take a risk because you're either going to, like, if you stay the same, like as you 46 wins doesn't get you in the playoffs. So you have to get better. And in order to get better, you got to take a risk. And this is the perfect season to do it. Especially, if you get a guy like Malik back, you don't want to waste, De'Aaron and Sabonis's, time with the Kings. It's like you get that guy back because a lot of people feel if Malik played this year in them last 10 games, they would be in the playoffs. So if he's that important, you get him back. After you get him, you secure him, you gotta go big. You can't go get another, Kessler Edwards, Chris Dewar, no experiments. It has to be somebody that's coming in and that's gonna make an immediate impact.
So are you talking, we've been talking about this for days. We'll continue to talk about it. We agree, got to take a risk. What I hear you saying when you say that is maybe go out and get a big name that is expensive. Maybe there's an injury risk involved, like Zach LaVine. Are we talking something or somebody like that, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach LaVine, somebody, it's good. You're gonna have to spend some money.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to spend some money, but there's guys like Zach out there who you could kind of get at a discount right now,
right?
Due to the injury. So I think the Kings really have to look at the landscape and be smart about what their next move is, but at the same time, be aggressive.
Yeah. Did the moves that Dallas made, the success of OKC, really hit the fast track for Monte McNair? Like, you can't just be patient anymore because of what the West has turned into, and it seems like they've been lapped right now. Does the sense of urgency have to increase for Monte?
He has to feel the pressure because, OKC isn't going anywhere. Dallas isn't. These are young teams. Like, I'm not sure with the math, but I know OKC is younger than the Kings, but Dallas they're a young team. They might be right there or under them. So you have to look at, sure, you got, all the big fishes like LeBron and Steph and the Warriors and Lakers and stuff, Phoenix, they've all dropped down. Right. So those are not the guys you're worried about anymore. You're looking at Minnesota, who got better, Dallas, OKC,
Pelicans,
who beat the Kings
6 times,
7, 8 times. But
every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
So they have to go be aggressive this offseason, and try to do something to catch up. Because right now, staying the same, you'll be a good team, but it might not be good enough in the West.
Yeah. Mark and Kyle, Jay, what do you guys think of this? I just realized something. I think it's something, maybe not. One of the really great things for the organization today about Domas getting 3rd team all league is it pushes back again about that narrative with Tyrese and the Pacers doing so well. And I know that last night, but it pushes back on this narrative that, what were the Kings doing? They traded the wrong guy, right? You got the guy you got for him just made 3rd team all league.
Second year in a row. Yeah. Second year in a row, and second full year that he's been in Sacramento. Domantas Sabonis has been all NBA 3rd team. You brought up Tyrese, and I want to get Mark's opinion on this. How do you view Tyrese and the success he's having with Indiana? Is that any kind of shade on Sacramento, or does that reflect on the Kings at all in any way?
I don't think so, because when I look at Domas and Tyrese and the whole trade or whatever, everybody's talking about who won the trade or whatever. I think this is one of those rare situations, and I can't think of another trade that was this even. Like both sides won. Like they both got better. And so, like, obviously Tyrese, he's in a position where he's highlighted a lot more than Domas. Nobody cares. Nobody chooses their favorite player off of a guy grabbing 15, 16 rebounds a night. But that's it's amazing. It's hard to do. It's tough to do. But Tyrese, he's the flash and the glamour. He plays the point guard. He always has the ball in his hands. So I think it's just more of a, maybe if as a fan favorite, Tyrese is always going to win that battle. But in reality, I don't know how. I can't put together an argument to say that Tyrese is the better player and
Right.
the Pacers won that
Yeah,
trade.
but
Right.
you know how it is, right? And we all were part of the media, obviously. But now in the media, oh, both teams won. It's like, well, that's not an answer. Someone has to win everything. Who won that trade? Who blew it? Right? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Both teams did well. Who of the teams that finished behind the Kings this year, who scares you the most going forward from the Kings standpoint?
Behind the Kings, who is this?
To me, it's Memphis, and there's a lot.
Memphis,
Unfortunately, there's a lot of good answers in there.
I don't think nobody is going to be as scary as Memphis because
Yeah.
you just, Ja Morant means so much to that team, and he is basically, out for the season, playing with a handful of games. And you put Ja on the court, and he's just a game changer. He takes that team from, that's
They're still young too. You talk about young teams.
Young.
They got young pieces.
Young and talented. They're lengthy. They play defense. They got Josh Jackson. It's definitely the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis is everybody forgot about them this season, but next year it's kind of like Ja. I'm not saying he's LeBron or anything, but it's that
His
LeBron
impact. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Where you got Ja on the court, you're a top 3 team in the West.
Yeah.
He's out. You're out.
You're out.
He's kind of like their heart. We're talking about Malik.
Yeah.
Ja's kind of like the heart of that team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I throw Houston in that mix. I like what they've done. I think they're going to be coming along. San Antonio, a lot of cap space. Maybe they make some moves. Back to the Kings, though, because I look at the stats, and De'Aaron Fox had a great season. Close to 27 points per game, showed us the 3-ball. Did he have the kind of season after the clutch player of the year that you were expecting from him?
Yeah, I think he exceeded what I expected.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, especially that start.
Yeah.
That start, he's averaging like 30-something points a game, shooting like 40-something from the 3. And, it dropped off a little, but it was still an amazing year. With De'Aaron and Domas, it's like, how much better do they have to get, or can they get? And that's not, when I looked at Fox, I was like, well, this might be the best version of De'Aaron Fox we've seen, a year ago.
Yeah.
And that ended up not being the case.
Yeah, he got
this
better.
year he is even better. So I was very surprised at that. I'm not surprised at how good he is, if that makes sense, but just that little, 2-3 points per game or whatever it is or whatnot. Like it's 2 or 3 points, but it's really a lot.
That's Mark Haynes from the Sac Observer. As we look at what the Kings need to do going forward, we don't agree at all on, what exactly they should do. But I think we agree on the fact that, boy, if you can, you get a big name player in and you draft a player who's going to help you, and you go out and get somebody with the MLE that's going to help you. Obviously, it's not easy to do, easier said than done, but where they are so far behind the rest of the West in so many ways, I think they need to do all those things to really get back to where they want to get to.
Yeah, to get in that top 3, there's a 3 seed a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take about all of that. And then on top of that, you still got to bring back Malik.
Yeah.
If you lose him, and now you're really starting from scratch, and now you kind of have to go about things a little differently. You might have to be, you might have to throw out some names that you don't want to throw out.
Right. Yes. It could come to that.
Yes, it could. And, it's interesting,
You talk about Keegan, right?
No, he
Well, he said that you don't want to.
Yeah,
so
he's probably the only guy, right? Yeah.
Because you don't want to trade Sabonis, you don't want to trade
Right.
Fox and Keegan.
And Keegan, those are your
At some
3.
point, well, we'll see. Hopefully it won't come to that.
Yeah, Mark, when I look at Keegan Murray, and I know I asked you about him earlier, and you talked to his dad as well. We've had Jerry Reynolds on, and, even looking at Jason Tatum's progression, going from 15 points per game in year 2 to 23.6, I think it is, in year 3. What does Keegan have to do to get to that point? Is it like we talked about? Hey, get the shots up. Don't defer to anybody.
Yeah, I think he needs to get shots up, be aggressive. But one thing that, when I'm looking at the Kings offense, and when Domas is, running DHOs and things like that, Keegan, when he's spotting up, he spots up right at the 3-point line or
Mhm.
whatever, which, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But then I see a guy like with the Pelicans, and I see a guy like Trey Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
like he's spotting up at the logo.
Deep.
And so that opens it when we got guys like, for the Pelicans, they have, Brandon Ingram who can get downhill, Zion Williamson. Same with the Kings.
So you're saying he create more space?
Create more space.
Really?
And it'll get you more looks. It'll get you as long as Keegan can shoot that deep three.
Range. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if he can space the floor by, where he's spotting up, I think that could get him an extra, 6 to 9 points, especially the way he shoots the ball. Then on top of that, he's good enough to get to the basket and finish as well. So I think just kind of figuring out, I think he was aggressive this year in shooting more. I think he's getting like 15 shots or something like that. But now it's more so being smart about taking those shots, knowing when to take the moment, knowing when to, I'm attack now. This is what my team needs.
Yeah. What would you do, Mark? We're catching up with Mark Haynes. What would you do about the center spot? They need a backup center, we think. I mean, you can get as specific as you want. I know we're spitballing about names. We don't know who's available, but what would you do there? And would you have any interest at 13 in Zach Edey?
I mean, you got to have interest depending on where you're going. You could definitely look at that. But I think with the center position and as good as Domas is, the backup, I think you can, like, for instance, Alex Len is a guy that probably he wouldn't play on a lot of rosters, but he just fits the Kings, well, for what he do in his skill set. And I think there's a lot of guys out there at the center position that's in the league right now that you probably could get for cheap that can do those same Alex Len type things. There's, somebody I've randomly thought
of.
Here
we go.
Man, I'm about to shoot this one down. I'm going to be respectful, Mark, but I'm about to shoot it down.
And I won't take no offense, but I was just thinking, like, what if, this year they had Alex Len and JaVale McGee, right? JaVale didn't work out the way people thought he would, maybe, or whatnot. But I'm more interested in, like, the backups backup. And I was like, what if you went with a guy?
You can't even say it, big fella. Come on.
What if you went with a guy like James Wiseman?
Ooh, look at why you get all serious on him, Whitey?
It's interesting. Backup's backup.
Backup to the backup. Yeah.
And just see, he's still young. He's still developing. He has a lot of room to grow.
Ooh.
My guess would be that Mike Brown would say, I was there when he was there, and I don't want any part of him.
He would know.
And James Wiseman was still learning the game. His first year, of course, he was injured. He was a really poor defender, But I hadn't even thought of that.
James
it's an interesting
Wiseman
thought.
as the backup to the backup.
Backup to the backup.
Third string center? I would take a flyer on James. Why not? Still young.
Get him cheap.
Yeah, get him cheap. See what happens.
What if he turns out to be something?
I'm with it. Look, see this guy.
No, he's not very good, but I like the idea of, well, maybe he gets better.
Maybe. Look at you.
I felt the same way, like not the same way, but like Chris Duarte, right? He had a great rookie year, and then he had the injury.
Same class, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. We didn't know what we were getting this season out of Duarte. Right. So if we got anything, we were happy with it. And if we got above that, it's like a win. I feel like James Wiseman is that type of guy where it's like, if it doesn't work out, then, he turns into JaVale McGee, this year. But it was there, at least there's some sort of ceiling.
Right.
So with that third string center position, I would like the Kings to go after a project.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Duarte was not the same class as Wiseman. He's the same class as Kuminga and Donovan.
Davion. Yeah, Davion.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't like I'm not against the Wiseman situation. It might be a diamond in the rough, a guy that, you find on the side of the road. It's a quarter and it's all scuffed up and dirty and everything.
But
you shine it up on the 80. Right?
I'm bringing James Wiseman.
I was thinking for James Wiseman back,
I'm not going to catch him.
Take a flyer on Wiseman, Bring him, groom him. I think, too, when you looked at his situation with the Warriors, clearly he wasn't ready. They were a championship-level team, and he just was not ready for them.
He's a great follow, as you know, if you've been listening, as you know, if you've been reading his stuff, Sac Observer, Mark Haynes, at Mark Haynes, NBA. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I
There
appreciate it.
James Wiseman.
James Wiseman, that's
I
a new
didn't think
name
we'd be
into the
talking about
mix.
him today.
I forgot he was in the league.
No wonder he was so I don't know, guys.
And the thought came out of nowhere, too. I was just sitting there one day, and I was like, why not?
Why not, Wiseman?
Yeah. Hey, give money
Good
a
stuff,
call.
Mark. Good stuff.
We appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk to the coach of your Sac Republic. Mark Briggs joins us. Drive, guys, as we roll on Sactown Sports.